Welcome back to Ravenous Babble. My name is Dan, and today I'll be babbling on about Flesh and Blood's upcoming set release, Bright Lights. Preview season for Bright Lights starts on September 22nd, with pre-release events being held from September 29th to October 2nd, and the set releases on October 6th. A little bit about the set. The set code is EVO. There's 251 cards in the set, including 1 Fabled, 7 Legendary, 46 Majestic, 56 Rares, 129 Commons, 12 Tokens, and 9 Marbles. The big ones here being the 1 Fabled, which is tradition at this point, 7 Legendaries, and 9 Marbles. There's 16 cards per pack, 24 packs per display, 4 displays per case, pretty standard. The set is designed for booster draft, sealed deck, 3-pack, which we'll get into, and constructed play. The set contains cold foils, of course, as all Fab 2.0 sets have, and the MSRP per display is $109.90. The set is mechanologist focused in that it is all mechanologists. There will be 30 new items in the set, from what we've heard, which is great news for all the mechanologist fans out there, for sure. And without a doubt, the market has reacted to the news of this set. It being all mechanologist, cards like Mischievous Meeps and Teklo Foundry Heart have gone up in price since the announcement. We're going to talk about a few things today, namely the 3-pack format, the addition of the expansion list, Teklo Vossen, both how he plays and a theory that I have because of him, and we're going to go over the cards that have been revealed thus far. Alright, so let's talk about the 3-pack format. The 3-pack format is a new casual play format where you can get 3 packs, crack them open, remove the tokens and the equipment, then shuffle the rest of the cards together, choose your hero and your weapon, and play. Without a doubt, this is the best on-the-fly casual format to date, though I don't think that this is something we're going to see commonly moving forward, since it's really enabled by the fact that this set is all mechanologist. Future sets that are traditional drafting sets where you have numerous classes probably won't play well with this. But of course, LSS does what they do best here. They continue to innovate on the game and continue to surprise us at every turn. Honestly, I'm really excited for this format. Mostly because our locals tend to buy packs both before and after armories, if not boxes. So if we were already going to buy packs, why not play? And even more exciting for our locals, one of our shops has an ongoing 3 for 10 deal for packs. I don't believe they have it with Dusk Till Dawn, probably because it's new and they've had a little bit of trouble acquiring it from distribution, so that makes sense. But even if it's 15 out the gate, I think that's fine. If eventually it does become 3 for 10, even better. It makes the experience better, because generally what will happen right now is we'll open packs, open boxes, whatever, and we'll take out the rares and the foils and the commons that we have an abundance of we don't really need. So if we have any new players, we tend to just pile them up through the night and hand them off to the new player until eventually they don't need them either. So we get creative with it. I've made playsets of commons for Outsiders as an example. I have about 6 or 7 sets of those, full playsets of commons and tokens from Outsiders. So we can always do something like that, but it's a lot easier to just take the pile and give it to a new player and just make their night, because buying a box would have cost, like $90-ish. And here they just got a whole stack of cards for free, which, it's probably commons, maybe some rares, but that still makes their night. Anyway, this format's awesome because now we can buy these packs, and instead of just opening them and taking out the hits and passing on the chaff, we can actually use those cards, if not just for one game. That's great, and we have a good amount of time to play before our armory, so this is perfect. Another thing that's unique about Bright Lights is the addition of the expansion slot. Now, in a bunch of my videos previous, I had said that it would be really cool if LSS implemented a kind of list like there is in Magic the Gathering, which is a set of reprints that appears in 1 in every 4-ish set booster packs, and that list is curated with each set. I thought that would be a great way to implement reprints like Fyendal Spring Tunic, and we'll get into that, Command and Conquer, E-Strike, things like that are expensive, and we don't want to just throw into a draft set and effectively print into Oblivion and possibly tank the market, because players do value their cards, and I think reprinting cards is fantastic, but I think that tanking a price from let's say Fyendal Spring Tunic at 200, if it tanked down to 50, Excellent for new players, excellent for growing the game, but possibly a feel bad for some existing players. That being said, I think something like the list would have helped populate an expensive card without tanking the price. You know, give us a nice little boost. Drop the price a little bit, maybe do it again eventually, and bring the price down to a more reasonable level without, for lack of better words, pissing off the player base that cares about that kind of thing. So the expansion slot, let's get into what exactly this is. It replaces a token in around 1 in every 15 booster packs, similar to how cold foils have replaced tokens in recent Flesh and Blood boosters with the whole 2.0 philosophy. On the website it says expansion slot cards are high rarity cards that either expand the story within the wider world of Wraith, expand the tournament card pool of classes and or talents outside the core focus of the product, serve as an avenue to reprint key cards such as Fyendel Spring Tunic, which is one of the cards possible to find in the Bright Lights expansion slot. Boom. I've been wanting them to do this for a while, with Tunic being the prime example, and this is great. We saw Crown of Providence get reprinted in Dusk Till Dawn. That card is now hovering around $60. It bottomed at $50, and while the rainbow foil did go down quite a bit, it's actually recuperating a little bit. It's around $120 right now, and the cold foil, unaffected. So if you like collecting Flesh and Blood, I'm going to say something that's obvious if you care about your cards going down in price. At least I think it's obvious, because LSS has already put it out there. They laid the ground rules. If a card gets printed a cold foil, it won't get printed a cold foil again. Same thing for rainbow foil. So if you're a collector and you are upset about Crown of Providence going down in price, you have the wrong Crown of Providence. Getting a rainbow foil Crown of Providence was the cheapest functional version of that card post Uprising until Dusk Till Dawn. The cold foil is the collectible. So when the non-foil gets printed, the cold foil is not going to be affected. So if you care about the value of your cards and you want to have a collection that's worth something, you got to go for that high end. We have to be able to get reprints out to new players. You can't expect new players to look at this game and see a $200 Fyendel Spring Tunic and think they're going to think that's okay. We can tell them how useful it is and how much of a staple it is and what they get from it if they actually get that, along with something like Crown of Providence and let's say 3 CNCs. You get those 5 cards, you can play a lot of decks, and the rest of the decks are pretty cheap. But yeah, this is a good thing. This is a win, full stop. The fact that they're able to use this slot, and hopefully it continues in sets moving forward, they're able to use this slot to reprint cards that maybe they would expect to spike in price. A good example here would be Teklo Foundry Heart. That card shot up when this set got announced. Considering they have all the information that we don't, if with all that information they know that Teklo Foundry Heart is going to be a very popular and in-demand card, they could use that knowledge to include it in the expansion slot. Now we don't know how many cards are in the expansion slot. We don't know how often you're going to be able to pull something like a legendary, like a Fyendel Spring Tunic. It's going to be enough to hopefully maintain the price at the very least, but I would really hope that it's enough to lower the price, as that's probably the intention. Regardless if it doesn't lower the price, it'll help maintain it, and that's important. And it's a great outlet for reprinting cards that are expensive at this point, like Fyendel Spring Tunic, which, you know, bravo for it being the first one that's ever announced for this, but also Command & Conquer. I don't expect to see Command & Conquer in this set, because that would be kind of just stomping all over their reprint equity, which, sorry, it is a thing. If you dislike that, I don't know what to tell you. It's business. I would, however, expect to see Command & Conquer on this expansion list if this continues moving forward, probably within the next 2 sets following Bright Lights. Now, a lot of people seem to miss one of the bullet points, seem to just go right over their head, and that is expand the tournament card pool of classes and or talents outside the core focus of the product. That means we can get class cards and talent cards for anything. While this set itself is Mechanologist, the expansion slot allows the printing for any class support. And if you look at a product like Dusk Till Dawn, there were a handful of classes that got like 1 to 3 cards for support. While there was a Runeblade in the set, generic Runeblade only got 3 cards, I believe, maybe 4. Regardless, not that many. But then you had heroes like Bravo or Lexi or Briar that got 1 card out of it. But that 1 card is enough to change some stuff. you know? Your hero might be really bad in the meta, right? But one card could turn that around, and that's all it takes. So the fact that they could do this with the expansion slot is great. It allows us to further distance ourselves from expansion sets as a whole, and I don't think they should go away completely, but it does let us get more draft sets into the mix, which will keep the game fresh, interesting, and allow LSS to delve deeper into new heroes or talents, or expand completely on a pre-existing hero or talent. And this expansion slot allows them to do that without leaving other classes completely behind, because Mech didn't get any support in Dusk Till Dawn, right? So you had Dynasty, which had mech support and had pretty good mech support compared to other classes. Then you had Outsiders, and then Dusk Till Dawn. So that's 2 sets where Mech didn't get anything, right? So they are lucky that they're getting something here, but there are classes that hadn't been touched for a long time, you know? Let's take Guardian, for instance. We're gonna walk through this, right? So Everfest. Guardian had support in Everfest. Next up, Uprising. Nothing. Next up, Dynasty. Sorry, nothing. You got Buckle. That's pretty good. I guess recent Bravo has been showing that you got Steelbraid Buckler, but Steelbraid Buckler hadn't picked up until recently. And if you look beyond Buckle, that set didn't really have anything for Guardian. You got a bunch of PvE looking shield support, right? So let's say we're at that point, right? So last time was Everfest, we had Uprising, Dynasty, Outsiders, Dusk Till Dawn, right? That's 4 sets in. And in Dusk Till Dawn, Bravo got 1 card. Oldhim got 1 card. Oldhim's gone from Classic Constructed. Bravo's card's really good, so great. But that could happen at any point. To have to wait for 4 sets to get something, you know? Now they could just pick and choose what they want to add, when they want to add it, whenever, with no regard for any kind of limited format, and that is great. So for this next part, we're kind of going to jump around back and forth a little bit. I want to talk about Tekla Vaesen. First and foremost, I want to talk about Tekla Vaasen's collector number. The adult one is Evo 007, and the young one is Evo 008. Tekla Vaesen as an adult hero is a majestic, and as a young hero, he's a token. To start this off, heroes in draftable sets have not historically been rares, majestics, etc. They're always on the back of a token, usually on the back of their young token. In the case of Outsiders, on the back of the Ponder tokens. You understand what I'm getting at here. Tekla Vaesen as an adult should have been a token. Why isn't he a token? He could have still been a token, 100%. But depending on how the limited format needs to work, it's possible that it would be inefficient to make him a token. So the reason he's an M, I think, personally, is to work toward limited, because we're probably going to need as much token diversity as we can get. That being said, if there's such a focus on limited, let's look at the 3-pack format. You open 3 packs, you pull out the tokens and the equipment, you shuffle and play. It says nothing about taking out the heroes. And the tokens have young heroes. So what does that mean for the adult heroes? You can't pull it in the rare majestic slot, right? Because you would be shuffling it into your deck. They didn't say anything about taking that out. And if you pull one of those otherwise, you'd be disadvantaged. If you have to take that out, you have less cards. That leads me to segue this into what I was previously talking about, and that's the expansion slot. I think that we're going to see new cards, we're going to see reprints, and we're going to see cards that are in the set that just kind of clash with the limited formats. And I think that the adult heroes are going to be M's in the expansion slot because of that. Now, how many other cards are in the expansion slot? How hard are they going to be able to get? Are they going to be short printed like they usually would be? Or are they going to be printed at a traditional rate because of how hard it's going to be able to pull something from the expansion slot? Are they going to be printed twice as much? There's a lot of unknowns here. But the point I'm getting at is that I do believe that Tekla Vaesen and the other adult heroes, being majestic heroes, will only appear in the expansion slot. And that is a complete and total speculation, but I just want to prepare you for the possibility. In this instance, and the potential of it being printed at a normal frequency or at a short print frequency, could mean that Tekla Vaesen could be anywhere from $5 to $25. And you need to be prepared for that, potentially. Speculation, take it for where you will, just throwing it out there. Moving forward just a little bit, Tekla Vaasen's collector number has other implications. The adult being 007 and the young being 008 is pretty normal. The adult always takes precedence over the young hero in terms of collector numbers. In an interview from IGN with James White. There's a snippet that reads, alongside the character evolution of Flesh and Blood's original mechanologist, referred to by White, James White, as -IO, founder of Teklo Industries Teklo Vossen will also feature as a new hero alongside a so far unannounced third character. That could mean a number of things, but I think the main takeaway is that there will be 3 characters in the set. I think that's the conclusion that everyone has come to thus far without trying to tear it apart. Looking at his collector number, the adult 007, the young is 008. That means that 1 to 6 should hypothetically be heroes. If there's a young -IO, an adult, and then a young and adult of the unknown third character, that would imply that there are 6 hero cards in the set, leaving 2 slots. So, what do I think that means? I think we've got 3 options here. We're going to get -IO as an adult and young, a la the new Prism style, to kind of future-proof current Dash hitting Living Legend in either format, really. Teklo Vossen, young and adult, third character, young and adult, and then we'll get Dash, the original young hero, and Data Doll as drafting options to add variety. Now, I think that makes sense, right? But I mentioned the Prism reprint treatment, right? What if -IO is Starvo treatment? What if they aren't making a young version of her? This is the second theory, is that -IO is an adult only, Teklo Vossen is young adult, third character is young adult, we have the old Dash as the young, Data Doll as the young, and then an additional young hero. The first theory makes it so that we have 5 young heroes to pick from for the limited formats. The second theory makes it so that there's 6. And it's not uncommon for them to design new young heroes whenever they want, because Blitz is very casual, and it's a bigger sandbox that they can play around in. I think that might be a little bit weird considering how this article is phrased. I think as far as the 3 main characters, we are going to be looking at Dash, Teklo Vossen, and the new third character. So I could definitely still see Data Doll and Dash as just drafting options, being the other 2 slots. Who knows? The third theory is that between the Fabled being 000 and maybe the first hero being 003, with what we know so far, perhaps we see a new card type at 001 and 002. Maybe gems and landscapes are in this set, but not at Fabled rarity. And we have no precedent for where they would fall in terms of their collector's number outside of Fabled, which would be 000. So some stuff to think about there. I think there's more to Teklo Vossen's collector number than meets the eye. Theorycraft with that, we honestly have no idea what the hell's going on with that. The last thing I want to talk about is the cards we've seen so far. We've seen 12 cards to be exact. You have your prototype base head, chest, arms, and legs. These are mechanologist equipment with the base subtype, I guess we'll call it. These are similar to Helios Miter and Phoenix Flame, things that you can use in limited without actually having to pull them. And they are base equipments for the Evo mechanic, which we'll go over in a second, that have no block value. They can't do anything outside of that base function. The next 4, which I would believe are probably commons within the set, are the Teklo base equipments. So we have Teklo base head, chest, arms, and legs. Now the difference here, they're still base equipments. They still have that type, but they also block for 1 and have blade break. So slightly better than the absolute bare minimum. These will also be the release celebration promos. Now, it's not obvious from the site anywhere that I can find as to whether what's presented is alternate art, whether they'll be given out a non-foil, rainbow foil, core foil, whether you'll get 1 or a whole set. There's a lot of unknowns with that, but the 4 pieces will be release celebration promos in some facet. I would love to see them all being given out together as a set, but they might be something you have to win, so we'll see. Those are the 8 base equipments that we've seen. Let's talk about Teklo Vossen real quick, because that will help to explain the other 2 cards that we're going to go over. Teklo Vossen is Steam Magnate and just Teklo Vossen. They're the young and adult versions of him. He has 4 intellect, 40 health as an adult, and 20 health as a young hero. And he reads, You may play Evos from your banished zone. Once per turn instant for 3 resources. You may play your next Evo this turn as though it were an instant. When you do, draw a card. Let's think about this for a second. It's pretty much Shadow Mechanologist, right? So you have Evos in your banished zone. You can pitch a blue and play your next Evo as though it were an instant. And then you're going to draw a card. So you're pitching a blue, drawing a card. You've lost nothing in your hand. And you can play the next Evo as an instant, either from your hand or from banish. That's a lot there. That's value. And when you combine that with the fact that with the knowledge we have currently, boost is a thing. So you can boost away Evos and just get them back. Like, that's a lot of value. As it stands, I think Tekla Boston's gonna be nuts. Don't know for sure, don't have the entire Evo card pool to see what he can do, but that's really good. I don't think there's any arguing that. The other 2 cards are Evo Steel Soul Memory and Terminator Tank. Evo Steel Soul Memory is a 4-cost, 3-block, blue pitch, Mechanologist action equipment, Evo base head. And it reads, if you have a base head equipped, transform it into this, then equip this. When this transforms from or into an Evo with a different name, your hero gains +1 intellect until end of turn. And then there's a bunch of blurred text that we don't know just yet. And then it says temper. So if you turn your headpiece into this, it's a 3-block piece with temper. That's 6 block if you take it all the way down to 0. That's really good. That's really, really good. That's 5 if you don't take it all the way down to 0. Now, what we don't know at the moment is if you transform, does that get rid of minus counters that you already have? Or is there essentially a limitation of sorts to what you can do with Evo? There is blurred text on that card, so who knows if that says something like take off a -1 counter or remove all the -1 counters, or if transforming removes them in general. You know, there's some questions there. We have no idea how powerful this really is, but it seems pretty good. Now I saved the best for last. Terminator Tank. This is a good one. This is a red pitch. It costs 6, it blocks for 3. It is a Mechanologist action attack that attacks for 6. And it reads, if you have 1 or more Evos equipped, this gets, when this hits a hero, they discard a card. If you have 2 or more Evos equipped, this costs 3 less to play. If you have 3 or more Evos equipped, this gets overpower. And if you have 4 or more Evos equipped, which I don't know how you would have more, I guess there's offhand and your main weapon, that piques my interest a little more. And that aside, this gets +3 if you have 4 or more Evos equipped. Let's break it down. If you have 4 or more Evos equipped, this is a 3-cost, 9 attack, overpower. When it hits a hero, they discard a card. Pardon my French, but fucking what? That's a lot to build up to, but that is a strong card. Now bear in mind that the base equipment that you build Evos off of, they're not considered to be Evos. So you do need to invest some effort to build this bad boy up. But this is some pitch to the bottom good stuff. Now if you're boosting a lot, you might lose these, you know, but this is pretty cool. Especially if boost ends up not being super relevant in the deck and you end up having 3 of these in the end game. Whew. Terminator Tank is the business. Now, this could end up being a dud majestic, but I like to think that this thing's going to see a good amount of play. Time will tell. Anyway, that's about all I have to say about Bright Lights as of right now. Are you excited for the 3-pack format? Are you excited for the expansion slot? Because I know I am. I've been waiting for the expansion slot. I think that's what's really going to make this game thrive. And honestly, between the 3-pack format, the expansion slot making things more affordable, hopefully, theoretically, and the round the table product being released a month before this, which also has a mech in it, the Professor, and this is a mech set. Between all of those, I think all it's going to take is for the Professor to make one video promoting Flesh and Blood, and this shit's going to pop off. So I'm not saying FOMO out and buy a bunch of cards, but if there's anything you've been eyeing up that you really want to get, I do think that we're at one of the bottoms market-wise for Flesh and Blood right now, and that it would be smart of you to use that to your advantage, because we might be about to see a huge boom for Flesh and Blood. But yeah, until next time, remember, stay safe, keep playing great games. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya. Shout out to the Ravenous Babble patrons who keep the channel going. If you would like to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/RavenousBabble and see which tier is best suited for you.